Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
Like,
Right.
and I'll be the first to admit, one or two times I may have gone overboard with the punishment. Whether it was, and it's not always physical. Like I don't consider spanking or whatever. And as you can tell,
As
sometimes
the go-to.
right? Like that is my last ditch effort, or like your life was in danger momentarily, where you could severely have been hurt. That's when I think that pain remembrance is important. And so, but like I've chewed my son's butt. I've read him the riot act, and I've put him in his place that way. But one of the things that I do remember from my childhood that stands out more than all the whoopings I got, and honestly, if the whooping wasn't funny, I really don't remember it. And I know that sounds weird because I've got some funny butt whoopings that I got, but it was the conversations that would come after that whooping. Whether it was with my mama or with my dad. Not that there were very many with my dad, but, my mom would sick my dad on us because I hated that. Wait till your father gets home.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? You're scary enough. Just handle it yourself, which I'm glad she didn't, because mama wore big diamond rings, and catch one of them across the face. That hurts a little bit. But it's one of the reasons why I make a note and make it a very important part of the discipline process is to sit down and have the conversation. And even in our judicial system, I think that's a lacking thing, that we take these guys that and gals that commit crimes, we put them in courts, we say, you did this bad thing, you're going to jail. And sure, we do rehabilitation and stuff like that and programs through the jail, but we never really break down an understanding. Like, don't get me wrong, like, obviously you killed somebody, you did something wrong. Like, there's no, killing is bad, you shouldn't do that. But I feel like there's more to it, and understanding another side of the things, and like, we've had the stance before, or at least a conversation, if we go and we find somebody shoplifting,
They're shoplifting a thing of bread and
peanut butter.
meat.
Right. They're trying to feed themselves. That's a whole different story. And I know we talked about it. I used to keep a credit card at the Dollar General, because it was like, I knew that there was a little boy. I say little boy. He's probably 16, 17 years old. And he would come in at least once a week and shoplift a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly. And that's what he would feed himself, his younger brother, and his younger sister. And I couldn't really fault the kid, and I couldn't fault his mom, because his dad had been killed some type of way. I don't remember that story. But mom was working 2 to 3 jobs, and she was barely making ends meet. So I got a credit card. I would charge it up every 2 weeks, and I just left it at the store. And I was really good with the manager that worked there. She was a very trustworthy young lady. I said, look, when the kid comes in, just rack it up. Tell the cashiers, leave him alone. Let him get what he's got to get. And one day, if I happen to catch him or I happen to be around, I'll have a conversation with him, and we'll go from there. He actually ended up getting a college scholarship. He's a very bright young man, but it was one of those things where it's like, there's no lesson there to be taught. Correcting him or taking him to jail, his side of the story is it's out of need and necessity. It's not out of want and greed. Whereas that guy that's going in there and they're stealing the laundry detergent and everything else, and it's just so they can sell it on Facebook, and it's like, bro, come on. Like, get a job. Those are the ones you want to see punished. And I really feel like that's the important part of the conversation afterwards, that we talk about when we go to those calls with the guys wanting to check out, or the guys that commit these petty thefts to sustain themselves, where we have that conversation like, do you need something? What can we do to help you? I feel like if we address it at younger ages, we might be able to prevent some of these things.
Right.
Where they get to a point that our kids don't have to go steal food, and they don't have to steal clothes and blankets and stuff like that. They have the ability to call on somebody and say, hey, I need help. And that's, again, one of the main reasons we started the podcast, so that grown men can ask for help without that fear of retaliation and judgment. And look, I say it all the time. You're going to get jokes. Like, you and I both, we're gonna make jokes, and I'm gonna harp on things that you do, and you're gonna harp on things that I do. But I know at the end of the day, if as we say, sugar turns to shit, I can call you up and be like, I'm not okay. I need this. And I think it starts at this age where you're a young kid and not knowing why you're getting your butt whooped, or not knowing why dad's jumping down your throat. That's an important thing. It's why we have the conversations after the whoopings. And it's why Mike and I have been talking about, it's important to let your kid know those times that you overdo that argument or that lecture or that butt whooping. There's an importance to saying, understand you screwed up.
Right.
Understand your punishment was just, maybe swift, but understand that I made a mistake and I'm human. And just like you, I went too far. And I'll deal with my consequences later. Now, I'm not going to tell them I'm not going to get punished because nobody's spanking me now. I'm a grown man. But I want them to know when I make a mistake. I want, especially when it comes to them. I want my son to know when dad screws up and goes too far. I want him to know this wasn't your fault. Like, yeah, you made a mistake, but it wasn't your fault.
Well, and so I think one of the things that when you do that and you show your brokenness to your kids, I think you don't just stop there, and that needs to be understood is you don't just say, man, I'm stressed out. I don't know what I'm going to do or anything like that, because they still look to you for comfort. They still look for you for security. And so when you do that, what you take and you show that, hey, you can be broken, but then when you repair yourself in front of them, they get to see that also.
Right.
And so that they get to see that, hey, he hit these low spots and he comes out of it. And I think that's the biggest thing that we see with a lot of guys now. Is they hit the low spots, and that's all they see is the darkness.
Angry dad, drunk dad.
Well, it's not not even that. So now you got this kid who, hey, let's say it was overbearing dad or whatever, or they didn't get to see their parents mess up.
Right.
They didn't get to see that, hey,
you just thought dad was perfect.
Losing is part of life. That they you go through and hey, you were always the best ball player. You always this, great, and all of a sudden now you're losing, and you think that, man, I'm not supposed to be doing this. So obviously, I'm losing my scholarships, I'm losing my job, and they're going to repossess my truck.
Right.
My credit score shot and all this other stuff. I'll never be able to get another job. And so you go through all that thought process, and when you get stuck in that, you start, that's when it makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and you go down a road that you don't need to be going down,
right.
because losing isn't part of life. If your kids can see that, hey, you can handle loss and then still make something out of it.
Yeah.
Now you're showing that, hey, you can be victorious through this.
Right.
It's kind of it's a weird concept, man. Is you show that, hey, you can lose, and now all of a sudden you're winning down the road. It changes their mindset because kids are watching everything you do.
Right.
And anybody who says that they don't watch doesn't have a kid, because everybody who's got a kid knows. You don't have to tell them not to say curse words, because they're going to hear you say them. They're going to hear you say them. All of a sudden it's all cute and cuddly, and all of a sudden they drop the F-bomb. You're like, where did you hear that from?
Right.
I have no idea where she heard it 1,000 times prior to this. And so it's one of those things where if they're watching you, give them something to emulate, something that hey, it may not matter till 45 years down the road, and they just went through a nasty divorce and they're going to an apartment. They left the $300,000 house, and now they're going to an apartment,
right.
and there's nothing in there but a folding chair, and they got to figure out how to make it work. And I think that's kind of what I want to instill in my son is, hey, Daddy didn't have all the answers. He didn't take it. He didn't have everything beat. He didn't have everything figured out, and I'm not the epitome of success. I want him to know that,
right?
So that he knows that, hey, it's okay to lose,
right? And see, and I want my son to be able to grow into the young man that I can see him being.
Right.
And it's one of those things where obviously not every situation, not every circumstance can we, push onto our kids, because that's too much for a child. And that's why, we're saying, hey, age appropriate conversation, right. and reassure them that while you're on the bottom or while you're at your low or whatever the case may be, like, hey, this is what's going on right now in life, to a degree. Obviously, don't go walking in there and be like, Daddy got fired from his job because his boss is X, Y, and Z. Hey, Dad's going to be home a little bit more.
I'm selling you PlayStation, kid.
Right.
You can't be doing that.
You can't be that, and you make it an age appropriate thing where, whatever you're going through, make it to a point where they understand it in a sense that they're not looking at it from an ugly standpoint.
Right.
But they can say, okay, Dad's stressed out. This is what's going on. And then when you come back on top, let them know, hey, we're good. Dad got that job. We're good. We're okay. Or, hey, yeah, dad had to move out of the house because mom and dad are getting a divorce. But hey, look at this apartment we got. This apartment's got a playground, it's got a pool, or whatever the case may be, so that you can
give
show
them a
them,
win somewhere.
Right. Show them that, hey, we do lose. It happens. You're not going to walk into life, get your first job, and be there for 20 years. Or, you might. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being the manager at a Walmart distribution center for 20 years, but, whatever. But give your kid the win. Show them that it's okay. Hey, I hit a low. Now I've come out of that low, and follow up the negative with the positive.
Right.
Like Mike's saying, when you hit that bottom hole, and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of here. You got to look up at the top of the hole and see the kid looking down. Right. Because he doesn't know that the family's in a hole, or she doesn't know that the family's in a hole. They think everything's hunky dory and everything's going to be fine. So you break it to them in a soft way. In a age appropriate way, and I'm stressing age appropriate, because what I don't want is somebody to go in there with their 5-year-old kid and be like, dad lost his job and dad has a drug problem or an alcohol problem, whatever. Go in with an age appropriate, hey, some things are going to change. This is what's going on. This is why we're a little stressed. This is why we're a little tight on money. This is why we're not doing this or this. And give them an explanation that they can comprehend without full details. And then when that turnaround comes, what do they call it, the glow up, when it happens, I'm not cool with the hipster language. When it happens, fire. That's what it is. I don't,
no cap.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't even know where he's going with that. But when it happens, show them that light. And when you're taking them out to Chuck E. Cheese, if that's even a thing anymore, isn't that Chuck E. Cheese something? Yeah. When you take them to one of those places, give them that light and be like, hey, look. Things turned around and are going to get better.
Right.
We're going to make it out of this. We're going to persevere and teach your kids resilience. And you're not just teaching them life lessons here. You're teaching them how to get through life, and a topic for another time. You're teaching them how to get through without you, because we don't know. We have no clue. Nobody knows when the checkout day comes, right? And the one thing that I would fear the most, and I know we've talked about it before, is checking out without giving my kids every tool that they need to succeed in life, with or without me.
Right.
Because I don't know. And to be honest, with the way I've lived my life, I didn't anticipate living this long. So I want those kids to know in their 30s and their 40s, when their dads and their moms and they're living their life day to day, when you lose your job, it's not the end of the world. When you lose a spouse or a significant other, it's not the end of the world. You can adapt, you can move on, and you can go forward. Even when I talk to my son about our podcast, we're not famous yet. Now, if you ask him, we're the most famous podcasters there are.
The Coffee and the Bull.
Right. Eat your heart out, Joe Rogan. But he doesn't understand that, hey, we're just starting out. We're slowly getting up there. But he thinks he tells all of his friends. Pickup line. That's the number one thing that I hear when I'm picking the kids up from school. Like, that's your dad? That's the one in the podcast? And I'm like, okay, first off, I know you third graders ain't watching podcasts.
Right.
Especially not ones that are not meant for children. But it's showing him that, the lesson I want him to take from it is, I'm almost 40 years old. This was not something at 8 and 9 years old I would have said, I'm gonna grow up and be a podcaster. I don't even think YouTube was around when I was 8 or 9 years old.
I don't think so.
It's showing them that you can do almost anything. I don't tell them you can be anything you want to be. I do not tell my kid that, because let's be honest, that kid's not going to be the president. All right, like if he is, God help America. But
well, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you may agree with us, you may disagree, and that's fine. Again, this is all about having a conversation and trying to work through some of this together. Again, we're not doctors. We don't have offering advice. This is just us having conversations. So I do want to say, just guys, hang in there. You're doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. Take it one day at a time. It's we all have bad days. You have days where you just, every time, man, you look up, you're like, I'm so tired of talking to people. Get through it. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
You're doing a great job as a parent. And I want, let us know what you want your next topic to be. Like we've been kind of going through, hey, I think this would be kind of a cool topic. Shoot us an email, shoot us a comment, something like that. Find a way. We're on all the platforms. We're on, got different ways. We respond to all the emails, all the comments, things like that. Let us know what you want to talk about. If this helps you, let us know. If it doesn't help you, if you're like, hey guys, y'all suck, that's fine too. You're not hurting our feelings one way or the other. So shoot us an email. It's coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com. Shoot us a comment on any of the platforms that you're listening on, and we'll definitely get with you on it. So
big thing for you guys out there. Don't think you're going to screw up, because everybody else that's watching is going to say you screwed up. They're going to tell me and Mike we should have baby talked our kids. They're going to tell me and Mike we should have done X, Y, and Z. There's always going to be a critic somewhere who thinks that they can raise your kids better than you. And the truth of the matter is, nobody's going to be you than you. I 100% believe we are our son's first hero. We are our daughter's first example of what a true love should be like, which is why, I'm a firm believer in front of your children, you should treat their mother like the person that you want your daughter treated like. Same with your son, set that example for them and let everybody on the outside judge you, because they're going to do it anyway. You control you. You control what pair of pants you put on. You control whether your kid's happy with you or mad with you. So do what you think is best at the end of the day, and don't let somebody else's judgment or opinion affect the way that you parent your child. Because at the end of the day, as I always say, if you weren't there when I made them, you don't get a vote in what I do with them.
At the end of the day, I like to go toodaloo.
Stupid. I knew it was coming. For like 2 seconds you had me, and then I was like, no, he's gonna do it.